What's something people don't realize is a cry for help? Story 1. When someone stops arguing, stops explaining, stops defending themselves not because they agree, but because they're just done, emotionally detached, shut down, and silently saying, "Believe what you want. I don't have the energy nor the time to care anymore. It's not peace. It's burnout, and it's horrible." Answer: I gave up. After 2 years of burnout with other stuff happening, at one point I stopped. I stopped starting a conversation. I stopped trying to get his attention and planning dates. I stopped doing groceries and cleaning. I didn't have the energy to get into a shower or do anything else than being a couch blob and watching absolutely ridiculously dumb TV shows and movies. He noticed and broke up with me because I was lazy and useless. We were together for 6 years, and instead of noticing that I'm on the edge of being Sidal, he only noticed the empty fridge and Nune picking up dishes after him. The paradox is that it gave me the kick to realize how bad the relationship actually was, and that I am not worthless even though he seems to think so. Story 2. This is very common among people who've decided they're going to commit tragic end. Knowing it will all be over soon can result in euphoria levels of happiness for someone who's been struggling with tragic end thoughts for a long time. People don't just get better for no reason. If someone who's typically withdrawn suddenly acts like everything is amazing talk to them. Answer: a bandmate of mine is usually a pretty reserved guy, but since his breakup and losing his house, he's been very up and down. Just last night, he was talking extremely positive and optimistic and gave a small speech about life and spirituality. I'm going to call him Edit. He did break down when I called him and we talked through things. I won't get too personal, but I had a feeling something seemed too good about his positive attitude the other night. Oh, Chuckles, then thank you for your comment. You might have helped me realize something before it was too late. If I could pass over the award. My comment got I would, but it wouldn't be near enough to show the appreciation I have for your comment. Story 3. I'm in this place now, and honestly, I am just being straight up with friends that I'm struggling a lot with loneliness and sadness and am in need of connection. In better times, I would worry it seems pathetic and desperate to be so direct, but this feels like an act of desperation. It breaks my heart to be this vulnerable and not have it be met with an open hand. I don't want to die. But now the dark thoughts have been exacerbated. Sometimes I wonder if they don't hear the words being spoken to them, don't take it seriously, or if they literally do not care enough to show compassion. Answer: it's total bullshit because it's everywhere. If you need help, reach out. Every time I've hinted or just straight up said that I need help, I met nothing. I end up walking away feeling ashamed for doing so. Like, hello, are you not listening? I don't want or expect anyone to fix me. I dislike even saying, but I fudge need some help. I'm really sorry. Story 4. Being okay with every plan and not expressing opinions about anything reckless behavior. Some people are reckless. Some people don't have strong opinions, but I've never seen both of these qualities together in a person with a strong will to live. Story 5. For work, specifically, being overly helpful and always putting everyone before themselves, to the point where they put themselves in dangerous situations just to get that validation and thank you from people, or just have people acknowledge them in general. Story 6. For me, it was giving up, trying to get better, asking for help, and trying to find reasons to care about others when no one else does. I always used to care about people and wanted to improve the lives of people around me. After some really tough years, I felt like I kept getting knocked down by the universe and kept trying to get back up, but got more and more tired each time. Reached out for help when I was too lost to get back up myself and didn't have resources people that cared, but was always turned away or ignored. More cynical, but kept trying to find reasons to care about others again. Find someone that cares about anyone beyond themselves' immediate group. Eventually just got tired of trying to stand back up and accepted that this is the way the world is. All we do is figure out how to pass the time until we die. Stopped caring about those around me since they only cared about themselves. Stopped checking in on them helping others and decided I was wrong for expecting humans to be any different. It's just who we are as a species. Might as well just accept it and enjoy sitting here quietly while I pass. Whatever time I have left. Just too tired to do anything else. Decided that was also my last call for help. Maybe silence and stillness would be heard by those around me when nothing else was. Just too tired for anything else. Answer: thank you for this. I hadn't really realized before I read your response that it started feeling this way too. You reminded me that none of us have the bandwidth to help others when we're down ourselves. I'm sorry that you're feeling that way too. I'm sorry that the others around you haven't recognized your pain. Selfishness is human nature. I've felt this way, but I promise that it's not universal. We're all in this together. No one wins until we all win. What we love, we heal has become a mantra. What we love, we heal, but what we judge, we cannot love. I can't remember where I heard it, but I think it was A Course in Miracles. I'm sorry you're going through such a tough time. Your heart's undoubtedly in the right place. We need people like you. Please DM me if you want to talk. I'm here. Story 7. Honestly, I think when people are literally asking for help, it's more often to receive advice than actual help. Story 8. That depressed friend of yours that's suddenly happy, generous partying and traveling. They've decided on an exit strategy, and they're just crossing a few rings off the to-do list before they go. They are not magically better. They're in a very big crisis. Story 9. When they happy, bubbly, super outgoing person is one way in front of others, but tends to be low energy in less social settings. Usually blames it on being tired or needing coffee. Seems to be depending on the company of others because they can't stand being by themselves. Story 10. I have done tragic end intervention, training first aid, as well as a Cert 4 in mental health. Had a government call center job and had a few tragic end intervention calls. I wasn't really allowed to use my skills knowledge, just could be compassionate and refer them onwards, because my job was considered to help with my specific work tasks. Though sometimes had leaders commenting that I was able to make someone having a down day laugh, etc. PPL were surprised. How are you getting another one of these calls? But really, I've just been trained to pick up the signs and that if they also had tragic end. Intervention training, they'd also notice they were dealing with just as many PPL like that. Tragic end ideation, can be subtle as, I don't know how if you'll get through this. I don't know what to do. I feel hopeless. It feels like it'll never get better. I can find a way out. I'm hurting. I need help. Can do is, listen, don't judge. Show empathy, understanding. Ask if they have any supports or if they'd consider getting help, professionally other, and steps they can take to be safer, e.g. Get them to ask a trusted friend to take their pills away from them, if this is their preferred method, flush them in the toilet, etc. And remind them at the end of their talk about the plan to be a little safer for now. And keep showing up answering the phone, but make sure they seek help from others, so it's not all your burden to help them. Sometimes with the above dot, points it's at a stage where you may need to call an ambulance and help them get help. Better to call than be at their funeral. Story 11. Excessive pot use. I live in an area where it is legal, so plenty of people smoke regularly. But when someone is high all the time or expresses that they need to get high, that's usually a red flag that they've got something else going on that they don't know how to cope with. Story 12. Someone giving away all their things. It's often a precursor to tragic end. They are giving things away because they don't think they will need them. Story 13. Well, this Reddit thread really opened my eyes. I'm sitting here crying, realizing I do almost all of these things. Story 14. Constantly saying I'm fine when they're clearly not, or making jokes about being tired all the time, not sleeping, or being stressed. Story 15. How people use words and which words they use when they speak about the future and goals. This can be a big indicator of someone not planning on being around much longer. Story 16. That sudden, I'm cured energy from someone who's been struggling is honestly terrifying when you know the context. Kids casually dropping hints about wanting new parents is heartbreaking too. They shouldn't have to carry that kind of weight. And yeah, I'm tired is basically code for I'm drowning but don't want to burden you. We really need to normalize checking in on people beyond surface-level small talk. Story 17. Messy living space. Someone who doesn't have the capacity to clean has something wrong that needs addressed. Story 18. Opening up to someone about one's problems is already a direct cry for help. But some people don't realize it and are quick to brush it off with platitudes or quotes, which are well meant but shuts down the conversation. Story 19. Unintentional weight loss from not being able to take care of yourself. Then come the compliments from acquaintances that you don't know how to respond to, or questions like, wow, you've lost weight. What's your secret? And you laugh it off and say, stress? But really you're not functioning and you feel and look awful. I'm really hoping someone relates to this. Answer. Yeah, I feel you. Happened a lot to me a few years ago before I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Felt like shoot and suddenly felt good, ate like an obese family, but kept losing weight at an alarming rate. People were not helping at all. My GF, now wife, was very worried about my behavior and talked about it to my family. She feared I was very depressive or alcoholic and living a second life, hiding my situation. All the people around us just dismissed her because they thought she was jealous of my weight loss. Ended up catching COVID, which started a severe hyperglycemia crisis. 3 heart attacks, a 14 days coma, and 2 years later I am better, but I'm scared about my own inability to reach for help. I could have died easily if my GF didn't rush me to the hospital. I thought I was dying of cancer something and didn't do shoot. I started at 209 lbs for a little over 6 aft and ended on the hospital bed at 116 lbs. I am still recovering because I lost a good part of my muscle mass, fat, etc. So yeah, weight loss is rarely perceived as a bad thing by one's entourage, especially if you needed to lose a few pounds at the beginning. Note, I know people here are talking about tragic end, but I did not want to die. I was just apathetic, and the real cry for help came from my body, which I ignored, and almost everybody around me in a really unhealthy manner. Story 20. Relating to people like Robin Williams, Kurt Cobain, and Chester Bennington, I have watched interviews and their mannerisms and personality remind me of myself. Lots of people overlook when I say I looked up to Chester. I started being honest with people, saying, I am waiting for my clock to run out. I have reached out to therapists. I have been told I am one of the worst cases they have seen, extremely bad trauma, that they don't know how to help me, or being incredibly kind, genuine with people even in the face of abuse. They know what it's like to be alone and have no one, no matter what. Don't let anyone be alone. No one ever asks about them, though. They are forgotten, but they never forget about others, even at the cost of themselves. Story 21. Long periods of silence and lack of contact. They don't reach out or respond. They don't send memes. They find excuses not to be around people. Some people get sick like cats do. They find a dark place underneath a desk and stay there until they get better or die. Story 22. Silence and stillness are more often the signs of cry for help than actual cry, loud sounds, or vivid movements. This is true to babies, drowning people, car accidents, abuse, etc. Especially for non-parents, it may come as a surprise that crying is almost never emergency, but complete silence is. Story 23. Never having any news to share when someone asks for life updates. It's easier to say same old than I'm not well. Story 24. There was a soldier named Jeremiah Denton that was captured by the NVA in Vietnam, and they sent America a video telling them he was fine. But he blinked torture in Morse code to let them know he needed rescuing, and they were lying. Story 25. When someone's always joking about how tired they are or how they just want to disappear for a bit, they'll laugh it off or turn it into a meme. But it's often not just for laughs. That's some real quiet pain wrapped in humor. Story 26. It's postpartum specific, but when a new mom says, "I'm home all day anyways, stop by whenever," most of the time we want you over. We've probably been alone with the baby for days on end and need to talk to someone but don't want to outright say it. Story 27. I've been experiencing debilitating and extremely painful health issues for a few months and didn't realize how bad my mental health was getting when I was jokingly asking to be put down, and also didn't realize when I Googled how much of the substances I have, or had in some cases, for pain it would take to eliminate me. I did figure it out when my mom and husband put my jerk on Tragic End Watch, though. Story 28. Never having time. It's not that we don't have time, but that we don't have the energy to do anything. People perceive it as annoying and stop associating with us. Story 29. One of the things I have noticed personally is when people are extremely happy, like not how they usually are when they are happy, but once they go home, you hear nothing from them. Not even on social media, they just disappear. Story 30. The project I am working on, as in I am crying out for help with it, and people don't realize it yet. But who knows? Maybe the project is a cry for help in the another sense. LOL. Story 31. A random "are you busy" or "are you free" message. Always make 5 minutes and answer these messages. Story 32. When people go down the explanation slide, I see this a lot online, but I experienced it IRL too. They make a mistake or say something wrong, and then they can't take time to listen to feedback, but start justifying themselves. And for a while, it's kind of a normal defensive response. And then it keeps going and going. Everyone else has moved on, but they are still stuck on it. I feel like reactions like these often come before a mental break of some sort. Story 33. When someone says, "I'm just tired," but they've been sleeping like a koala on vacation and still look dead inside. Story 34. longing for a place and time that no longer exists. People I cherished are now gone, and it doesn't get easier. Like people say, it gets harder for me. Life is so different now, it makes me so sad. Story 35. In my experience, even very blatant obvious cries for help that are often dismissed as attention-seeking and aren't taken seriously. Story 36. Perhaps don't brush it off as just awkward oversharing. Story 37. I don't want to be awake right now is definitely a constant saying in my personal life, basically a deflection in a way. Story 38. When I'm upset, I clean. There's something about the quick task completion with high results that really makes me feel good. The one time I scrubbed every tile in my house on my hands and knees because I was going through something. I was over it by the time I was done, and my floors were so nice and clean. Story 39. Someone who has been extremely depressed, tragic end, getting super happy out of nowhere. It means they see a way out, have a plan, and the means. Story 40. Back when I actively had a plan to eliminate myself, I would drop little hints that I won't be around forever. Story 41. There's already been a lot of comments, but in case someone does see this, I think an important one is being horrible to people. It's so difficult because it makes people pull away and give up. Why bother helping someone who's spiteful? I outright asked my mom why she was so nasty to people, and specifically to me at that time, as one of the last people in her life, and she responded, because the easier it will be for everyone when I'm dead. I realized after she died that she was right. Despite not wanting to admit it, her passing wasn't as hard after all the years of abuse. But I wish I'd recognized that as a sign she needed help at the time. I was still young. Story 42. When people work too hard to make other people like them with false things like ambition and money and makeup and fancy cars and houses, all sorts of status symbols that are not easily attained, and they spend their entire lives, I'm trying to get them to really sad reality that they're stuck in such an awful, desperate attempt to make themselves feel better. Story 43. To so many people, many who in this thread, one of the hardest things you can do seems to be asking for help. Just ask. You don't have to clarify, quantify, or explain. Say, I need help. Can you help me? The thing about asking for help is lots of people can help far more than you might realize. Often the only barrier is them knowing they can. So if you ask, that makes it possible. I know I would go a long ways, give a lot, to help people, especially those I care about. I hope they ask, that's all. Just ask. Story 44. Constantly asking to hang out or to chat, acting like they can't be alone for a minute. I'm guilty of this when it gets bad enough. I'd hit up my friends asking to hang out or to just chat when the loneliness starts eating me alive again. Story 45. Disappearing only to reappear later, almost as if nothing happened. I withdraw when I'm having a hard time. If I suddenly go silent or stop showing up to events, it's because I'm struggling. I'm as upfront with people about that as possible, and I've gotten a bit better over the years. But JFC, the number of friends I've lost to this bullshit is actually unbelievable. All because I'm afraid of hurting other people with my pain. On the upside, when I finally do return, I usually have some fudge stories to tell XD seriously, though. If you know someone like me, reach out and be patient, even if you don't get a response. It's almost guaranteed they'll see your message and feel a little better knowing someone is thinking of them. Story 46. Being a Reddit Monday morning quarterback and trying to diagnose people because they feel shoot and have Googled things. Story 47. I have no filter anymore and tell people I've known for 2 days that I'm a borderline alcoholic, which isn't the best way to make friends, haha. Story 48. I'm very good at telling when a person is silently crying out for my help. The signs are so clear. Silence. Saying I'm tired. Avoiding conversations. Reading a book. Working on a task. Attempting to sleep. Lockham G. Theodores. Not letting me follow them into the bathroom. Random comments like, for the 500th time I'm tired and I don't want to talk. Fudge off. Quickly leaving the room whenever they see me, threatening me with pepper spray if I don't back off. Building a fence around their yard, filing a restraining order against me. These are all clear signs that the person is begging for my help. And company. They may say that they value their privacy and boundaries, but I never accept that because I'm such a kind and understanding person. Story 49. When something bad is happening or you having an argument and you know you are right, but you know the other person will do anything to not see it. Story 50. Constant vague posting. On the surface, it's annoying and no one wants to ask what's going on, but doing so just might save a life. Story 51. A large fluctuation of weight gain or loss. I mean noticeable quick. Eating disorders can affect smaller individuals just as often and are usually a symptom of larger emotional or physical trauma. Story 52. Making promises. Not necessarily making promises and not following through. I mean making promises when no promise needs to be made. Story 53. I say out loud, I just want to go home several times a week, but feel it in the back of my mind every day. Story 54. Being reckless with debt in regards to their future. If someone has been fastidious around debt their entire life and then suddenly starts racking up debt, that's a huge red flag. Story 55. If they tell you they are hurting themselves or hurt themselves more recently, and if they are joking about self-harming or tragic end, it's not just their sense of humor. My jokes stopped or minimized a lot when I was better. Story 56. When a person has shoot parents or a parent, directly simply asking one or both for help and they don't. Story 57. Fights. Raising concerns or times one person or partner is hurt by the other. Many fights my parents had, which I look back to, make me realize either of them were just fed about, hurt about, and just were not communicated properly to each other. Story 58. My mother is a curse for us. She torture without any reason shouts, scolds, and I get acutely hurt when she abuses my innocent father, who's very kind and loving to her. I wish my father could get a better partner who love him, which he really deserves. Since childhood, my father took care of me and my sister like a mother. He's a great Fathmo love and care to you, Father. You deserve a lot, wishing to show you the world where you forget all your pain and enjoy worldly creatures. Story 59. I've put made in motion. I'm waiting for a call. I've decided on a day. March 31st, 2026, March 31st, because it's the day.